The 10 most insane feats of Darth Vader across all of Star Wars canon and legends. He stopped a starship with his bare hand. Not a metaphor, not a figure of speech, a Corvette-class vessel, engines burning at full thrust, pulling against him, and he held it in place through the Force alone while standing on the hull of another ship in the vacuum of space. No suit breach, no hesitation. Just will expressed as physics. And that is not even close to the most terrifying thing on this list. You think you know what Vader was capable of. You watched the films. You saw the lightsaber, the choke, the presence that cleared rooms before he entered them. But the versions of Vader that exist in the comics, the novels, the animated series, and the deeper corners of Legends continuity reveal something the films could only hint at. A being operating so far beyond the boundaries of what the Force was supposed to permit that even the Jedi Councils of the old era had no framework for what he became. By the time this is over, the number you thought defined him will feel insufficient. Stay with me, because some of what follows is not comfortable, and it was never meant to be. You already know the name, but you are about to understand the scale. There is a question that serious Star Wars scholars have debated for decades. Was Darth Vader the most powerful Force user who ever lived? Not the most trained, not the most balanced, most powerful in raw, expressed, documented capability. The answer depends on what evidence you accept, but the 10 moments that follow make the argument better than any theory could. We will move through them in ascending order of the impossible. Save the worst for last, or the greatest, depending on where you stand. Open your mind to what this man actually did.
Number 10. The Devastator Pursuit. Early days of the Empire. A rebel cell had obtained intelligence critical to the nascent resistance. Their ship was faster than anything the Imperial Navy had scrambled in time, and they were going to make it to hyperspace. Vader, aboard the bridge of his Star Destroyer, reached out through the Force across open space and disrupted the ship's navicomputer remotely, corrupting the jump calculation mid-sequence. The ship dropped back to real space. The crew was captured. The intelligence was recovered. He did this from a command bridge, without moving, without breaking conversation with a subordinate officer. The effort it takes a trained Force user to affect a physical system at that range while simultaneously managing fleet coordination is the kind of multi-layered Force expression that masters spent lifetimes attempting to achieve. Vader did it as an administrative task. Number 9. The Jedi Temple Massacre, 19 BBY. You know it happened. You do not know the detail that makes it monstrous beyond the act itself. Temple security during the fall of the Republic included some of the most gifted younglings, Padawans, and knights in the Order, individuals attuned to the Force and trained specifically in defensive formation against Sith incursion. The Temple had never fallen to outside assault, ever, in thousands of years. Vader breached it in minutes. He did not fight his way in, he walked in, and the Force moved ahead of him like a pressure wave, disorienting, suppressing, pulling combatants off-center before they had raised a blade. Survivors described it later as fighting inside a nightmare, as if their training had been erased at the moment they needed it most. This was not swordsmanship. This was psychological and metaphysical dominance expressed through combat. He made the most gifted fighters in the galaxy forget how to fight. Number 8. Fortress Vader, the Sith cultists. In the Vader Immortal canon, Vader faced multiple trained dark side adepts simultaneously within the confines of his own fortress. These were not civilians, not soldiers, individuals who had spent their lives in communion with the dark side, capable of coordinated Force assault in combined formation. Vader defeated them without a visible change in his breathing rhythm, which, given that his breathing is mechanical and constant, makes the observation almost darkly comic. He was not elevated by the fight. He was not challenged by it in any way the records show. He processed it and moved to the next problem. What that tells you is not just that he was powerful, it is that his threshold for what constituted a real threat was calibrated somewhere most beings could not locate on any scale they possessed. There is a word for what he did in that room. Effortless is too small a word. Inevitable is closer. Number 6. The Executor Bridge. Empire Strikes Back. What the film shows you is a brief, violent demonstration of force choke applied to Admiral Ozzel, promoted immediately to Piet. What the film does not show you is the distance. Ozzel was on a different part of the ship, not in Vader's line of sight, not in the same room, separated by bulkheads, corridors, and the structural mass of a superstar destroyer. Vader reached through all of it, found the specific biological signature of a specific man among tens of thousands of crew members, and applied lethal telekinetic pressure with enough control to stop at the precise threshold between death and survival for Piet. That level of targeting precision at range through interference while managing a military engagement represents a degree of force sensitivity that the Jedi Order classified as theoretically possible but rarely observed in practice. He did it to make a point about punctuality. Number 5. The Vader Comic Run, Issue 2. Charles Soule's canonical comic series contains a moment that redefined what Vader was in the post-Revenge of the Sith timeline. His red kyber crystal, the one that would become the heart of his lightsaber, was not given to him. He had to take it from a living Jedi Master. He hunted Master Kirak Infil'a, a man who had taken the Barash vow and isolated himself from the war, a warrior of exceptional skill and genuine power across a planet and into a direct confrontation. Infil'a did not lose because he was weak. He lost because Vader could not be stopped by anything available to that Jedi on that day. But what came after the defeat is what belongs on this list. Vader took the crystal. He poured his pain, his rage, his grief, the full psychological devastation of everything that had happened to him into it through the Force. The crystal, which had been a living green Jedi kyber, bled. It turned red. He invented the bleeding process, or rediscovered it, through the sheer emotional pressure of his own history. He weaponized his suffering so completely that it changed the molecular signature of a Force-attuned crystal. Think about what that sentence means. Number 4. Darth Vader and the Ninth Assassin, Legends. A coalition of assassins, each individually elite, working in coordinated sequence with the specific intention of killing Vader, with knowledge of his capabilities and weaknesses, with specialized weapons designed for his armor and his biology, found that preparation was not sufficient. Vader did not simply defeat the operation, he anticipated it. He used the Force to follow the threads of intent backward to their source, while simultaneously neutralizing each operative, turning the assassination attempt into an intelligence operation. He was hunting the hunters while being hunted, processing combat, investigation, and tactical manipulation simultaneously, and none of the individual operatives realized the others had already fallen until it was too late. It was not a fight. It was a demonstration of what happens when a military mind fuses completely with Force precognition and executes both at full capacity simultaneously.
Number 3. Splinter of the Mind's Eye, Legends. One of the earliest expanded universe novels placed Vader in direct confrontation with Luke Skywalker before the latter had any serious training. The result was expected. What was not expected was the environment. A collapsing temple, structural instability, physical chaos around them, and Vader maintaining perfect composure, perfect Form V saber technique, perfect Force awareness through an earthquake-level environmental disruption that would have shattered the concentration of any conventional combatant. He was not fighting Luke and managing the environment. He was not dividing attention. He had unified both into a single continuous state of awareness. The temple fell around him, and he moved through it like he was in a quiet room. There is a term for this in Jedi philosophy: battle meditation applied to personal combat. It was considered one of the highest expressions of Force mastery. He did it while hunting his own son. Number 2. The Hallway. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. You have seen it. You may have seen it many times. You have probably never had someone walk you through what is actually happening in it at the technical level of Force application and combat physics. In approximately 40 seconds, Vader engages an enclosed corridor of rebel soldiers at close quarters without room to extend his range advantage, in conditions specifically designed to slow and confuse an attacker. He does not slow. He does not show confusion. He deflects blaster fire with his saber while simultaneously applying telekinetic force to soldiers behind him in the dark, while tracking multiple targets in 3 dimensions, while moving forward at a pace that does not permit his opponent's time to formulate a second response to the first contact. Every movement serves multiple purposes simultaneously. The saber deflections redirect bolts into other rebels. The force pulls create openings the blade then fills. He is fighting 5 engagements at once and experiencing them as one. The rebels in that corridor were among the bravest people in the galaxy. They held the line long enough for the plans to escape, and they never had a chance. Not because they were outgunned, because what came through that door was not operating within the same parameters of combat that they had trained for. That hallway is not an action sequence, it is a document.
Number 1. The Star Destroyer. Marvel's canonical Vader comic, Issue 2. Vader, standing in open space on the surface of a vessel, reaches out with the Force and arrests the movement of a ship attempting to escape. Full engine thrust, burning against him. He holds it. And then, when the moment demands it, he does not simply release it, he redirects it. He is one man, in a suit that sustains his broken biology through mechanical systems, standing in a vacuum that should kill him, bending a capital ship to his will through nothing but force expression and refusal to accept any outcome other than the one he has decided. There is no measurement system that adequately describes what that requires. The Jedi never documented it, because no Jedi ever did it. The Sith never cataloged it, because Vader was not following anyone's catalog. He was writing a new one, in the wreckage of everything he used to be, with the only currency he had left. Power he was no longer afraid to use. That is the version of Darth Vader the galaxy actually lived under, not the man in the films. The man the films were approximating. And the question that follows every one of these moments, the question you feel but may not have put into words yet, is this: what would he have been if he had not been burned? What would that power have looked like in a body that was not in constant pain, in a mind that was not carrying the weight of what he had done, in a man who had not lost everything that made him want to be great in the first place? You do not need the answer. The question itself is heavy enough. Vader was not the most powerful Jedi who ever lived. He was not the most powerful Sith. He was something the galaxy had no prior category for. A being of almost limitless force potential, operating at perhaps 60% of his theoretical capacity inside a mechanical prison, driven by grief, loyal to a master he despised, and still producing moments that the most gifted beings in the universe could not explain or replicate. Imagine the 40%. If one of these moments hit you differently than you expected, tell me which one in the comments. I want to know what surprised you, because this audience does not surprise easily, and that is exactly why I keep going deeper. The next video goes somewhere even the hardcore fans have not spent much time. Do not let it go without you.